Okay, so here we are again, and I've rebuilt the servos. I actually only had one servo that was stripped. I pulled them all apart, but there was only one that was stripped. It was this one right here, the one that was really bad. The others looked fine, so we're going to put them in and see what happens. But they sure feel fine. And so I recentered the arms, got those all ready to go, and now I'm ready to put it back together. I also replaced my main gear while I was off camera. So I took that apart and replaced the main gear, and I fixed the gears at the front and back of the transmission. So that is all back together at this point, and things are ready to go back together. So I'm going to replace the tail first. And so to do that, like I shown before, it's really pretty simple the way I've got it set up. I can just bring this guy right in, bring it in like this. This one, the tail servo, sits, bring the struts down. The tail servo sits between these two, so I just got to put that right in there, and then I just set it right like this, and all of the rest of these wires go right in here. And that's it. She snaps in. And that one, this one's got to go down here too. There we go, it moves into place, and now I have to put all these guys on. So this goes on this side, and of course, as always, we Loctite this stuff. And I always just get things started, and then I get them all in place, and then once they're all in place, then I tighten them up the rest of the way. Okay, sorry for the small interruption there, ran out of memory card. Have to start it back over again. Okay, so there we go. The tail's back on. And as you can see, the wiring's all ready to go. And just be a matter of flipping this over. Here's my tail. And then we got to put the servos back in. The servos are pretty simple. These are the front two, so it just goes over the top. This slides right back in here. Just like so. And put the screws back in. I've got the masthead off for right now, the rotor, because I've got to replace that feathering shaft. The feathering shaft was bent, so I got to replace the feathering shaft, and I got to redo the setup on my fly barless here. So I'll be putting the swash plate back on in just a minute here, and get those links set up, and then the rest of the rotor head will go on after the fact. So that's why that's all off for right now. The center servo goes just like this. So now we just run this over this way, and that's our center. I guess it'll be easier to do the left first. There's left. There's center. Right. And finally our tail. Wash plate goes on. Go ahead and pop this this on right now. Probably should have done that before I got that servo in place. It's a little difficult to get on. And then, so these guys here just both sit down there. If you look, so the wiring's sitting like that. There's your tail. You pull that back tight so it doesn't get into the main gear. And these just run along the right edge, and this one just runs along the left edge like that. And all you do is put this back on, and you make sure you're on the centering for that, and put your 2 bolts in. So that plate is actually what's kind of holding all the wiring in. Doesn't need any zip ties. Everything stays out of the way. Everything gets held in place. I haven't had any problems with any kind of binding at all with any of the wiring or anything. It's all worked perfectly. I checked extensively. Checked all my throws and everything, and made sure that I was able to clear everything, that I wouldn't be getting any binding, and I didn't. But again, the length of those wires is the most important part. If you don't have the length of those wires, you're either going to have a bunch of wire hanging out here out the back, or you are going to get into a binding situation. Hook up these last 2 links to the other 2 servos. And that's it. So I'll hook back up. So you can see these run down in here. You can see there's nothing binding here. The wire's clear, the servo arms. And on the back here, I don't know how well you can see that, but it clears just fine back there as well. So everything clears for as far as the throw is on all the servos. So there's no binding of any kind, and it's real clean. You can see it didn't take very long. Everything was accessible, yet it's still all nice and neat. So that's it, and I'll just finish putting it together here. Get all my swash plate leveled, and get my feathering shaft replaced, and then it'll be time to go flying again. Okay, so here she is back together again. Everything's done. I took the video today, so that took a little bit longer than it normally would have. But I would estimate that if I was to do this job without doing the video and all that stuff, that I could probably have replaced just a servo in 5 minutes or so, without redoing the wiring. So this is my completed Turo 450 again, back all together and ready to go out for a flight. I'd like to thank CPO for all of his information. It really helped me get going, and I hope that this will help some other people out with some other options for wiring. Thanks a lot.